Update. I think my SIL's 23/F best friend 23/F is trying to get with my 25/F husband 28/M and she's encouraging it. Am I delusional? This is a good update. A couple communicating honestly that solves a problem and going to therapy for a check-in to help them facilitate better communication in the future. You love to see it. Wishing you and your husband the best, and I hope this means a little less stress for you during your pregnancy. It seems like most conflict in life either stems from or is furthered by a lack of communication or dishonesty. Honestly, I feel like if people would just communicate and be straight up with others, the majority of interpersonal conflicts could be avoided entirely. Even touchy stuff, like how the husband suggested marriage counseling. A lot of people would be worried, like, oh, is he trying to say a marriage has problems? But when you just simply say what you mean and are honest with people, you'll find that usually they're thinking the same thing you are. TL, doctor, go through life being honest and direct, and when you tell somebody something, they will assume you are being honest and direct. Chloe and your SIL sound massively trashy. For real. I chuckled at it's because Chloe's younger, though. They're 23 and 25. Big fucking whoop. Right? That's usually the age where you start to hit your stride in maturity. Those girls sound like hot Cheeto girls. Hot Cheeto girls? Damn. I'm way behind on slang. All girls born after 1993 know is McDonald's. Charge they phone. Twerk. Eat hot chip and lie. Apostrophe. Born in 91 and my favorite. Number 1 chips are hot Cheetos. I also do charge my phone. You lie. I love a good update. Your husband's a keeper. Good on both of you. So happy it all worked out. Love you. And your baby. And your husband who is willing to stick up for you and himself. And your baby edit. My first awards. Thanks Reddit friends. It sounds like SIL may be jealous of the baby and that's a bigger issue than Chloe. SIL is needy and the baby is going to take priority over her. Chloe is just a distraction and a tool to get him away from Op and baby. I bet there will be a lot more need to stick up for the baby in the future. SIL definitely has deeper issues from her childhood and needs to get help. But husband really came through, and marriage counseling is a really sweet suggestion, and I hope Op goes with him. SIL definitely has deeper issues from her childhood. I didn't even study this stuff in uni and even I know that she might be affected by the repudiation from her father and the subsequent trauma, and thus latched onto her brother instead. She desperately needs therapy. He said it wasn't because he thought there was something wrong with our relationship, but apparently he has been speaking to his dad a lot recently, and he mentioned one thing he regretted about his marriage with Millie's, that they never went to therapy until the cracks in their relationship were too big. Wow. Just wow. Not many guys would willingly suggest this when there aren't any obvious problems. Probably wouldn't even think of it, to be honest. Lol, good to know though. I learned an open dialogue and getting in front of problems was important from my last big relationship. But counseling isn't something anyone's really advised me on in that realm. Sometimes counseling is a bit of a catch-22. If you've identified problems, even minor ones, getting ahead of them is extremely effective. And often a counselor is a good way to do this in a safe space without having to navigate the territory alone and worry about one or another not cooperating fully. The problem is you can't really counsel nothing. You can't get ahead of problems that aren't there yet. And to be honest, it doesn't sound like there's actually problems in Op's relationship that require counseling. They could do with quicker communication. Sure. And that's something to work on. But you can't preemptively counsel away problems. What it's good for is providing the tools to avoid needing their services more seriously. Op's husband, however, might benefit from individual sessions regarding his sister. It's clearly not just an issue with their relationship, but rather an issue between him and his sister that needs addressing in a one-to-one environment. The issue isn't about Op and him and his sister, but him and his attitude to her in general. Greer update. I just want to add, I think couple counseling is a fantastic idea. Usually, people don't know how their own feelings works. nor how to deal with them. So working for a healthy communication and for a better understanding of your own feelings is always a good thing to do. You don't need to have a problem to go and work on your relationship. Good luck. I agree on the couples counseling. I think therapy, either individual or couples, can almost always be helpful. At worst, unless you have a terrible therapist, you have a neutral person to talk to. Oh, I love this update. And oh, how I love that this update is a tale of happy marriage and wonderful husband. And damn when a man brings up therapy because he doesn't want anything to ever go wrong with your marriage. I'm melting here. I'm so happy for you. Big ups to his dad too for being so honest about his experience and encouraging Op's husband to seek out the same healthy experience. I don't know why, but I feel like you guys need to get a Ring doorbell or a security camera / system in place. Yeah, I think people get desensitized in this sub because of all the crazy stories, but this is psycho behavior. They need to get ahead of this. Just some advice, even if SIL comes back, you need to ban Chloe from your lives and home. She disregarded your husband's requests to stop hitting on him. How would it be if a man did that to you? Yes. The comment about how the sister and Chloe were not welcome back until they apologized, that should only apply to the sister. Chloe should not be welcome back in their home, full stop. Regardless of an apology, she has no need to be there. Honestly. SIL spending this much time and energy on breaking up their marriage is beyond an apology as well. That's not just a major breach of trust. That's a concerted effort to ruin 3 lives. My phone lit up with another text from my SIL telling me she was now going to be here at 1 PM the next day to swim with Chloe. Apparently. She started crying and said she was sorry. That she didn't mean it and she was just scared to lose him and that she wasn't thinking clearly. Please point out to your husband that she's not sorry. Never was when he confronted her before her text and just tried to use you to steamroll him. If you had said yes, she would have automatically used that as against him. Time to cut her off for the foreseeable future until you all had some counseling sessions. Therapy is a great move. He can get some lessons on boundaries and letting you feel comfortable to speak up without a debate. Exactly. I also think individual either instead of or alongside couples is needed for him because of his toxic family. He is so used to the dynamic he almost slid backwards, which is common, by getting defensive again. From the sound of how it was handled, his parents have issues too because of the sudden dropping of one child who was not a baby anymore, just because of DNA and the lies and cheating by the mom. SIL's attitude to the baby sounds like it's the crux of her problem. She's probably jealous that the baby and mum will replace her by taking all her brother's attention and she won't get to have her brother around her anytime. Anywhere. She needs a hell of a lot of therapy. Op, congrats on the outcome. Best wishes. Honestly. Her behavior sounds like mental illness. The only people jealous of a baby are the child's siblings. Well, in a sense she kind of is. Remember that the only other father figure in her life wanted nothing to do with her. So her only default father figure is her brother. Now there is this woman and a baby who are taking her brother away from her. I don't think it's a mental illness, though it is definitely an issue that requires serious counseling. It's something that I think anyone would be dealing with if put in that situation. I agree, but her actions are not similar to how everyone would react. Her actions suggest an unhealthy attachment and childlike behavior. It is mental illness. I'm not saying she should be institutionalized. I'm saying it is clear she is not well. Oh, it's very childlike. I just feel that mental illness is just an extreme description, especially since we only know her from a very biased account. Op is clearly not a big fan of her. And I feel like her account won't be the best source to diagnose her. Plus it's not like she is intending to physically harm Opus. Just her relationship. Mental illness exists on a spectrum. It's not the way it's portrayed in the media. Take OCD for example. For some people it's wanting things in order and cleaning several times a day and not sleeping on their bed because they fear things won't be in order and sleeping on the floor, and for some it could be playing a game and saying if they win it means they will get the job they applied for. She isn't well. There is a chemical imbalance somewhere. Take it from someone who has a chemical imbalance. The trauma of her father not loving her is manifesting itself. People can have problems, relationship issues and maladaptive behavior without having a diagnosable mental illness. That seems to be a misunderstanding of mental illness. There have been studies that show a majority of people have some sort of diagnosable mental illness. Like 80% plus. We don't know enough about it to say for sure. But we have studies that seem to imply mental illness may be more like the flu than a disease we have to cope with from birth. At least some forms. This is my point. That's why I said it's a spectrum. Not sure if this has been said already. And I may be overthinking this, but be careful. I've seen some of those most insane, vindictive events take place in situations similar to this. Even less. People can do insanely stupid things when they get shut down like this. Or get jealous, and in this case, it could come from either of the two, which is nuts. If you get any threats or insinuations, don't take them lightly, please. Random prego woman with the awesome hubby. I hope my past is just making me jaded, and I'm being stupid. Anyway. Congrats on the little tummy bump, and I hope all goes well. I was thinking the same thing. If she openly says that your baby should have been aborted, you absolutely cannot ever let her be alone with your child. If she is openly trying to get your husband to leave you, and your child is in the way, and you are in the way because your husband loves you and wants to stay married to you, you need to be very careful if she ever is around your family again. You also need to watch your back. Her ideal outcome right now involves the child being gone and your husband not loving you anymore. Even if she is not a diabolical mastermind, she might do something horrible that she thinks is a brilliant ploy to get you and the child out of the picture. I agree that you should have a security system installed. Your sister-in-law has stated that she wishes your child didn't exist. This is not the same thing as threatening to do anything about it. But still, it's super scary, Although you don't know whether she would actually go this far. You don't want to find out. Maybe I'm being too paranoid about this. But her actions as you have described them are impulsive and short-sighted. And her description of your husband's feelings of happiness and attachment as being false things that were forced upon him by you are totally scary. That means that, no matter what he says, she feels like it's in his interest to break up your marriage. And she might do something extreme and irrational in the name of saving her brother from you. Or maybe she's being a brat and will get over it once she realizes that she's not losing her brother just because he's going to have a family. You're the only one who's going to be able to read her behavior and judge whether this is going to blow over or she's going to turn into a psycho. The silver lining to all of this is that, based on what you said, she has absolutely no poker face, and you have a pretty good sense for non-verbal communication clues. She doesn't seem particularly clever or subtle. So with the exception of lying about it, her actions are probably going to reveal her intentions pretty clearly. This is a good topic to discuss in therapy. What does your husband think she's going to do? And why? If there are multiple possibilities, which ones does he think is the most likely? What does your husband think is appropriate to do in order to protect himself and you and the child? What do you think is appropriate to do? What does your husband think is excessive or paranoid? And what should you both be watching for from her in order to figure out what you're going to do next? I'm just some random guy on the internet who is freaking out about your story. But you guys know her. So as long as you communicate and understand each other's feelings and concerns and deal with this together, you should be fine. Yup. Pretty much nailed what I was thinking too. Glad I wasn't alone. Just to reiterate, it's absolutely possible that she is just being a little and will get over this and realize what she said. You know her way better than any of us, so it'll fall to you and your husband to ascertain any possible threat. But if she is an intelligent, well-spoken person, you would have to assume she understood the implications of her words. Just as /u/Pornudla Samurai pointed out, the final picture this girl wants can only be painted by doing some pretty gnarly things. Lies, manipulation, even violence are some of the ways she can get to that point. Her age also doesn't help. This could be harmless to her. Just doing whatever Hopefully we are wrong. The fiction written on this sub amazes me. It's not even that entertaining anymore. I just imagined her standing there all pregnant watching some girl put her hands on the husband's chest. And her thinking, I'm telling Reddit about this. It's always the extra little bits. Like this half sister is close enough to come over to her married brother's house every day. At the same time. Can't end there no. The super close sister is bold enough to tell her bro that his wife should have aborted their child because it was a setup. That really happened. What a bunch of bullshit nonsense. They quarantined because they wanted to use your pool. Why are they there every day? Do they bot have jobs? Like. I don't get it. I honestly think that some of it may be true and Op just started fantasizing about how she wanted it to play out. Or it's just wildly imagination from the start. Or it's the beginning of a porn and Op was done jerking it 2 minutes in and created this story while cleaning up.